Okay, looks like I'm live right now. I'm sitting here in my living room and just wondering out loud and came to a conclusion of how we can have more meaningful politics in American life today in the electoral college. Enact term limits, reform ballot access laws in all 50 U.S. states and U.S. territories, allowing fusion voting, public financing of elections, and the usage of voting electronic voting machines and use paper ballots as an alternative, free airtime to all major and third party candidates, and enact ranked choice voting. Let me explain each of these points to you. By ending the electoral college, what you'll end up doing, and I heard the argument about the electoral college. Oh, she is. You get rid of the electoral college. Um, Only New York and California and New England are going to have all the say, and all the conservative leaning states won't. But under the current system, we are in a corporatist right of center political paradigm here in this country. The Overton window shifts toward the right because of the electoral college. Now, I know that makes some people happy, um, but I think that in the electoral college would neither weaken the left. It would not. It would not weaken the left, and the right wouldn't really have too much to worry about either. I think it would just. I don't think it really would undermine either side, but it actually might make our electoral system more competitive. And I'll explain what I mean. Right now, we have two political parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, and both of them are a collection of special interests united under one electoral umbrella. And what keeps them together is their fear and loathing of the other collection of special interest groups in the opposing electoral umbrella. And because they kind of don't like each other, they're willing to kind of put up with each other because of the fear of the other side. And that's why we are locked with a two-party system. It's really ass backwards. Let me tell you what would happen if you get rid of the electoral college system. One, get rid of the electoral college system. You'll have what are you gonna say? Well, you'll have the Democrats splitting into several different parties. I mean, you will probably keep the main group. They'll probably still keep calling themselves the Democrats. I suspect a good chunk of it will form the Green Party, and a good chunk of it will form some kind of a labor party. I'm kind of impartial to the name Populist Farmer Labor Party of America or something like that, or hell, the American Labor Party. Um, I foresee that happening if Democrats were to split. And by the same token, the same thing will happen to the Republican Party. They would they would become the American Conservative Party. A chunk of it will go to the libertarians, and if the libertarians and the mainstream conservative party of America doesn't appeal to the hard right, they can go with the constitutional party. And I think that it would actually create healthy competition in our electoral system, and the country will kind of they'll do coalition governments, and sometimes the Democrats of what will become the Republicans, as the conservative party would do coalition government with each other, or they'll find their left wing partners to do a coalition government with, or they will find their right wing partners to do a coalition government with, and we could operate kind of like that. and I think that we can make our system look kind of like Canada or England. Just I kind of think that's the way it will work out. Term limits, that's a given. I mean, uh, and there's one area where the Republicans are 100% correct, or used to be until they got elected. Prior to 1994, Republicans were bitching and moaning and screaming, "Well, I like to see term limits." I was like, and when I was a partisan Democrat, I thought, well, that makes sense. I mean, I don't see why Democrats are opposed to term limits, and Republicans actually have a point on the term limits. But once the Republicans took over the House and the Senate in 1994, once they came into power in 1995, not a damn peep came out of their mouths about term limits. And you know, yeah, I hear regular Republicans talking about it, but I never hear it from congressional Republicans anymore. Bunch of partisan hypocrites. Let's see. What reform the ballot access laws. Let me tell y'all something, folks. It around the time of the Great Depression, when Franklin Roosevelt came into power, he started to do some neat things for the economy called the New Deal. It was so successful that the American people was like, "Hey, I want more of that, please." And it was so successful that the Republicans were like, "Shit, well, this keeps happening." Roosevelt will keep getting elected forever. Of course, he died in 1944. But the point I'm trying to make is that they enacted term limits to put a stop to what they thought was going to be endless rules by the Democrats, and I wouldn't want one party ruling forever. So a stop clock gets the right time twice a day. But the Democrats saw as a threat to them during the New Deal the old Socialist Party of America, the Socialist Party of Eugene Debs. At that time, Norman Thomas was the leader of the party, and he was the um, the the presidential candidate from 1928 till 1948, and kept on running every 4 years. Um, because because of that, because they feared actual socialism, the Democrats decided to borrow some safe ideas from Norman Thomas's Socialist Party platform, and it was watered down into the New Deal. Or some people said was the new it was New Deal was basically the Socialist Party of America platform on a stretcher. So there was that, and the Socialist Party of America was driven out of the electoral movement with these asinine, crazy ballot access laws that we still live with today. Certain states are better than others, but some states are still uh, still with very asinine and draconian laws or what have you. Well, I live in North Carolina, and they actually reformed theirs. Then I'm actually a registered member of the Green Party. I did temporarily re-register as a Democrat, so I wouldn't get any shit from the people when it comes to my primary vote for Bernie Sanders back in March. But after that, felt dirty re-registering as a Democrat temporarily, but I became a Green again as soon as I could. So I think that it's a First Amendment issue. You ought to have the right to run for office. I mean, yeah, and you ought to have a right as an ordinary voter to have as many voices and choices available to you. And as much as I love the ACLU, I don't. I've actually inquired about that. About maybe it is a First Amendment issue, but they didn't quite see it that way. And no, I know it's not because the ACLU veered toward the Democrats. Honestly, they are a very nonpartisan organization. They're as nonpartisan as they come, and some of the conservatives that may be in this audience will think I'm full of shit for saying that, but that's okay. Um, that's okay. They'll live. Uh, I would say also fusion. If you don't know what fusion is practiced in about I think about 10 states, 11 states, is where a minor party candidate can endorse an individual major party candidate on a separate ballot line, and the major party candidate's total and his or her total on the alternative ballot is combined, and that's a way to kind of be a third party voter and not feel signaled out or be without option if there's a decent person in the major party that you will like. Like for example, in the 1930s was most famous with the American Labor Party of New York State, which no longer exists, endorsed Roosevelt along with the Democrats, and having them on their ballot. So the Democratic votes for Roosevelt New York was tally up, and the American Labor Party of New York State's vote for Roosevelt was tallied up, and it was combined together. That arrangement still exists today, but it's now the Working Families Party, which is the kind of the unofficial successor to the American Labor Party of New York State. Um, and it works that way with the Republicans. The Republican Party in New York State also have the Conservative Party of New York State, and they do the same thing. So um, you can have you can have you can have third party people voting for a major party candidate in a third party position for those individuals that the third party like within the two party system. Public financing of elections. I mean, come on now. We have a deeply corrupt system, and we need to do something about it. I mean, big money is in politics. I mean, what the Supreme Court did with their Citizens United uh, uh, decision back in 2012, I believe it was just basically looking at corporations and businesses like they're human beings. And trust me, there's nothing human about corporations. Um, to me, I just think it's a given to publicly finance elections. Here's one where I think that no matter what side of the fence you're on, you should be able to agree with this, and that's to get rid of these electronic voting machines. Just have an old fashioned paper ballot. Just mark an X on your candidate on a big dopey piece of paper and put it in a little lock box, and then have people in town count it and have it tallied up. I just think that's a better. It's old fashioned, but it's a better approach than the way than using these electronic machines, which are rigged. I mean, it was rigged. It's been rigged in various states over the years, and both parties have found a way to manipulate it against each other. And you're not going to get rid of voter fraud, but I think that having paper ballots would reduce it, reduce voter fraud. I would say free airtime to all major and third party candidates. I mean, that's also given. I mean, free airtime and have as many choices as possible. I mean, and just yeah, so you can see what options are out there. I mean, as few people that vote in this country, you would think that somewhere somebody will be like, there'll be enough people that'll be like, no, let's not have the two party business as usual. Let's have a third party person come in. Um, and I would say enact ranked choice voting. And let me tell you how that works. And this is done in a lot of European countries. Ranked choice voting. Let's say there's like 4 or 5 candidates on the ballot. You put the one you want on the top, your second choice, your third choice, your fourth choice, your fifth choice, all the way down, and that way you can make if you're kind of if you kind of like two candidates, they're kind of similar. You like one more than the other. It's kind of a way to had it counted. For example, even in the primaries, if they would have had ranked choice voting in the primaries back in March, they would have had that. I mean, like my first choice would have been obviously Bernie Sanders. And my second choice would have been like someone like Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang and et cetera, et cetera. Obviously, and obviously from Bernie Sanders, who would be my number one choice, to John Delaney, who is like the worst candidate running in the Democratic primary this past year. If you haven't heard of John Delaney, well, just consider yourself fortunate. Let me put it this way: John Delaney makes Joe Biden look like Alexandria Ocasio Cortez. Um, so, but anyway, I just wanted to share that with y'all. And just I'm just kind of doing new things here on this video channel and everything. So uh, I'm in the living room today instead of the dining room, and I'm just kind of relaxing and all of that. So I want to hear your thoughts, and please do share your thoughts, and remember, subscribe. Just hit that button. It says subscribe and comment away, good, bad, or indifferent. And just have a great day. And I'm going to relax. I may come back later on and do another video. Peace.